It's officially driver season, and no company warrants more interest year in and year out than TaylorMade. And with the sleek and modern look of the Qi35, that's never been more true. As a certified club fitter, I'll be taking you along for my full test and review of each one of the 3 main heads. So watch this before you go ahead and pick one up for yourself to figure out which one of these is going to be the best option for you. In this video, I'll be going over the most forgiving model, the Qi35 Max head, so let's go talk about the technology in it now. So the Qi35 Max, the ultra forgiving driver this year that will help produce more distance on off-centered hits and more forgiveness overall. So TaylorMade has almost the same driver lineup as last year. They have the 10K Max model, they have the Core or Standard model, and then they have the Low Spin Beast, the LS model. While there are 2 other heads, they have a light model and then they have a fitting specific model. We're not going to be reviewing those because those are more niche heads that 99% of the population isn't going to have to mess with. We'll go over the looks after the testing, and spoiler alert, they're really good. But for now, let's go over the technology that TaylorMade has introduced in their Max head. There are 5 materials TaylorMade has used in all of their heads: chromium carbon, steel, aluminum, tungsten, and titanium. There's a 34-gram tungsten weight at the very back of this driver that's going to bring that CG or center of gravity lower on the face, and it's going to create the most optimal launch for any 10K driver ever made, is what TaylorMade's claiming. All of these drivers have through slot speed pocket, twist face, and a 4-degree neck sleeve, which we've been accustomed to seeing on TaylorMade drivers in the past, really since I think the Stealth models. So all you need to know is that these drivers are packed with technology that hopefully will lead to performance gains. One last thing I want to mention before we get to actually hitting this club is the looks. I know I said I'd wait until after testing, but I just can't wait. They look so good. So I wasn't a huge fan of the shiny black crown they had on all the heads last year, especially in the Max head. It kind of made it look big and bulky, but they've gone to a little bit more matte look with a carbon gray head, and I think it looks so good. It especially looks better in the Max head, and that also could have something to do with the dark shadowy ring around the back edge of the driver. So at address, it makes that footprint look a little bit smaller, but whatever it is, it looks a lot better, especially the Max head. They also got rid of the light gray line that separated the face from the crown in the Qi10. The Qi35, especially at address, just looks a lot more seamless when you set up behind the ball. So all of that being said, this driver could be my favorite looking driver line since the original M1 or M2. All right, so now's the fun part. We're gonna hit some golf shots. The Max model that we're gonna test in this video should have the highest launch and spin, but it also should have the most forgiveness. So we're gonna hit some shots now and kind of take a look at the data as we go. So the Max model is already impressing me. I know it's a super forgiving head and it's supposed to have 10K MOI, but that usually means that the spin is gonna be a little bit higher. And so far we've hit 2 shots and it's been 1700 spin and 2000 spin. So it's not spinning up as much as I thought. Now granted, that one was middled and hit really well. So we'll see as testing goes on if that maintains throughout the whole testing. So this drive is an example of why the 10K MOI can be such an important factor in a driver. You know, I promise you it wasn't hit great. It was hit kind of low off the toe a little bit, so it should have spun up a little bit, which it did. You know, it got to 2700 spin, which is definitely nothing to complain too bad about, but instead of going, you know, miles offline, which I felt like it should have, it stayed, you know, relatively straight, and it maybe even caught the fairway. At worst, we're in the rough. A couple more shots here with the Max model. I'm really impressed so far. I'm really liking the way it feels and sounds. Oh no. So that's another drive that off the club face, I thought that was gonna go a fairway right. And you know, I guess that extra 10K MOI in the driver is really helping me out because, you know, it went, not only did it stay straight or come back a little bit, but it carried 309 and rolled out to 334 with 1800 spins. So I am wildly impressed by the capabilities of this thing right now. One more, we're gonna really let this rip and see how far we can get it out there. So I know I didn't quite get it as far as the last one, but I felt felt like that one was hit a little bit more out of the middle of the face. It spun a little bit more. I think the last one I hit a little bit high on the face, causing it to lose a little bit of spin and maybe roll out a little bit more. But that was, you know, my perfect driver swing, and the numbers are essentially perfect. That just shows that the MOI in the driver actually does help, because, you know, the one I hit the last shot, I really didn't feel like it was going to be as good, and then ended up being honestly even better than that one, which I felt like I middled. So somewhere in there, the extra forgiveness on this model is doing its job. So these are the numbers for the Qi35 Max driver. That spin, you know, stayed right around 2100, which is kind of exactly where I want to see it. Smash factor was pretty good. Club head speed was around 118, 119, which is kind of where I want to see it. Ball speed didn't drop down like a lot of super forgiving drivers are known to do. The other thing with the Max head is that it's going to be a little bit easier to launch, so that height you might see a little bit of a bump in that height, which isn't going to be great for every type of player, but for somebody like me who launches it pretty low in general, that height could really be beneficial to me. So after fully testing this driver, I'm blown away. Gone are the days of not playing a forgiving driver because it's going to spin too much or it looks too bulky. This is a 10K driver head, so it has more forgiveness than we've ever seen from a driver outside the past, year and a half. That being said, it didn't spin at 5,000. It didn't lose me, 40, 50 yards of distance because of that spin and it just ballooning up in the air. It looked great behind the ball, and I hit more fairways than I feel like I deserved because of that extra forgiveness. So while I have tested the Core model and the LS model, the other two main heads, this one gets me the most excited because if you're a 30 handicap or a scratch golfer, there's some setup where this driver head could really be the one for you. And also as a fitter, this gets me excited because a lot of the time when somebody would come in with a lot of speed, we would kind of be handcuffed as fitters. If they had a ton of speed, but maybe weren't the most accurate driver of the golf ball, they really had two options. One being get a low spin head that's gonna optimize distance, but not gonna give them near the forgiveness level that they need. Or two, give them a really forgiving head, but have them lose 30, 40 yards of distance because that ball is just going to spin too much and it's going to balloon straight up in the air and fall right out of the sky. This head, however, and a lot of the other 10K drivers that are out there, walk that line really well and make it really, really easy to find that balance between distance and forgiveness. So just in general, I'm really excited about where the equipment in the game of golf is and where it's headed. That's it for this review. Thanks for sticking around, and let me know in the comments if you plan on trying any of the 10K drivers out there on the market. Stay tuned for the Qi35 Core and LS driver reviews that are going to be coming out soon on my channel. Make sure you're hitting subscribe to stay up to date on that. But until then, peace out.